Hello and welcome to another episode of The Grind. I'm your host, Nasty Noob. Tonight with me I have SJ. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's up?
And also tonight on the line with us we have HB30. What's going on?
What's good? Let's go back. I'm ready to get my grind on.
All right, all right, all right. So I guess today's topic of this show will be about Connected Franchise, our wish list for Madden 18. The media group came together and we came up with 8 hot topics that we would like to discuss this week, and what we would like to see in Madden 18. So I guess we'll go ahead and pull that up. And this is ways to make CFM more meaningful. Right now, we play the games. It's really not that in depth, but we did a little bit of digging and we came up with the following topics. I guess we'll start with number 1. This was a suggestion to add offensive, defensive coordinators. So, what are your guys' thoughts about this and what it will bring to the CFM mode?
Right now you only can really hire a head coach. You get a scout and a trainer, but in real life, of course, you have usually a defensive and an offensive coordinator. The head coach doesn't necessarily call both sides of the ball. So I think it'll be a nice little add to have offensive and defensive coordinators, maybe implement some contracts and levels to that too, to make it more realistic from a game management, play calling scheme perspective.
Absolutely. I think they used to have offensive and defensive coordinators, if I'm not mistaken. But I think they did. Didn't they have offensive and defensive coordinators at one time?
Yeah, I think back in '05 or '08 they had them.
Yeah, so I think they definitely need to bring that back, because it brings another perspective from a gamer standpoint. As far as us being in a connected franchise, we want to get the whole experience, and part of that experience as an owner is and as a head coach is to put your staff together. So offensive, defensive coordinators are the first pieces of a staff. You got to figure out the philosophy of your offensive coordinator and the head coach and the defensive coordinator, and I think that's something that they need to bring back.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess and say the reason maybe they took it out is to kind of condense the game, and you don't want to have a 2-disc video game. So maybe they take stuff like that out to bring other stuff in. I don't know, but if there's a way, I think it would be a good ad to have that. Who wouldn't want Josh McDaniels maybe as their offensive coordinator, or Kyle Shanahan was a hot commodity in this offseason. So I think adding that aspect gives it a more realistic feel, and if you're a pass happy type user, if you like to blitz a lot, if you run a zone scheme, maybe have an offensive and defensive coordinator to have that same characteristic to make those plays you want to call more effective. Something to the effect of how they do the game planning every week. If you run a cover 4 drill, cover 4 might be a little bit more effective during the game. So I think adding that helps make the game broader from that perspective.
And it'll also give more pool. It'll give a bigger pool for, like, when you fire a head coach, you'll be able to hire an offensive or defensive coordinator.
Right, you're right. Promote the offensive coordinator to head coach. Yeah, something like that gives it a added twist to the game that mimics real life scenarios.
Exactly. I like to add in maybe you get that hot offensive coordinator or that hot defensive coordinator, and their contract is up, and he hits the market within the CFM, and then if this guy's been had the number 1 offense or the number 1 defense for the last 2 or 3 years, this gives this coordinator great value on the market for the
Right.
third 2 users within the league to bid on him. That adds that extra dimension to the game for me as well. So I think that'd be very interesting if they were to ever bring that back, man. If they can actually make these 2 positions have some type of value or add some additional intrigue to the CFM. So
Yeah.
I guess we can move on to number 2. I know SJ, you recommended this one. staff importance and expansion. You want to, I guess, kind of expand on what you were talking about here?
It kind of ties into one a little bit. I don't necessarily think coach really matters other than the level of your staff. You know, if you have a 30 level rated coach, I think that helps improve the overall number of your staff, which helps in sales. But, you know, I don't know if that really has an impact on the game. But I think, you know, having that as an option where making it more important to your scheme, to your franchise, you know, if you're an owner, making that more important. Because I think you can really plug in any coach and it doesn't have any effect on the game. Maybe it does, you know, but based on what I feel, I don't think it really does, but I think it should. You know, if I have a rookie head coach and you have Pete Carroll, you know, I think, you know, you should have maybe a better game planning aspect, or, you know, just making that more important to the game itself, not just plugging in any coach, plugging in any trainer and just letting it ride, because you know, I think having that makes it more impactful, makes you want to, you know, dig in more.
And to piggyback off of that, not just the staff, I think as far as like with the trainers, you know, what role do the trainers really have in the game? You know what I mean? Are they saving me from getting 30 fucking injuries? You know what I'm saying? or not? Am my guys coming back early because of that? Because to me, I don't see the difference. And I've hired, you know, some of the best trainers on the game. I think it should have some type of value as far as hiring trainers, and not just trainers, but like strength coaches. They should have strength coaches where, and when I say that, it don't have to be in depth. It just, you have a strength coach, they work out, you might get extra XP in the strength department or something like that. But nothing that, you know, something just to add something to the game.
I think MLB The Show has something similar to what you're saying. You know, if you want to work on hitting, then this hitting coach is going to impact your team. He might not help them from a pitching scenario, but from a hitting scenario, they'll get more XP, more points to use. So the technology or the programming is there. You know, I just think it would be cool if they could get that implemented into Madden.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as well, man. Just to make these guys, you know, I know in a couple other chats that I've been in, as far as like with the trainers, maybe you have a player that has lingering injuries, as opposed to just getting hurt and being out for 6 weeks. This player is playing with let's say a broken hand, but you have a great trainer, so that trainer is able to keep him on the field, as opposed to if you have a trainer that is horrible. You know,
exactly.
He's just not able to keep that player on the field. You know, I think they really need to put that in the game, man. The lingering injury aspect of it is, as opposed to just getting hurt and you just gone for 6 weeks. Because in the real NFL, players play through injuries. That's just how it is, and that's how it should be in the CFM mode.
Yeah.
You have anything else on that, Andre?
No, I mean, and that's basically what I was saying, is that I think the trainer should have some type of effect, and I'm not sure if the trainers are having an effect in this game. You know, a guy goes out, okay, a guy might come back a little early, like 2 weeks early, but the injury is not lingering. You know what I'm saying? To me, I think that, like you just said, if a guy had an ankle, then his speed should be reduced for like 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, I totally agree, man.
And like another thing, I know sometimes a player can get injured and you can choose to play him or wait till he's ready to go. But I think those type of injuries should be more than out 8 weeks with a broken collarbone. I'm big in the NFL. I can't remember a season where the Buffalo Bills have had 7-8 guys go out with broken collarbones.
Right.
So, you know, maybe sprained ankle. He's high ankle sprain, out for 2 weeks, or he's injured, but he can still play. Do you want to play him? And slow him down a little bit, something like that. Not just broken collarbones, torn shoulders, out 8 weeks. That's really not how injuries happen.
Yeah, because I know I just brought my superstar wide receiver back 2 weeks early. I was nervous. He made it through one game, took a big hit in the next game, and now he's going for the season. So it's like almost playing Russian roulette, man. It's either you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because I really needed him for that late season push, but now he's gone. So
then it affects everything, because that now he probably won't hit his XP goal for the season. So it impacts his whole career, one injury, because let's say he got player of the week 2 weeks ago, and he potentially could have gotten it again. Now, instead of a quick player, he could have been a superstar player, but that won't happen because he's injured. So one simple or what may seem insignificant injury could affect the whole quote unquote career of the player, and kind of sucks. But I mean, it happens, but I just think it should be more control over that.
Hey, and one thing that I do recommend, though, I do recommend to bring players back early, but I don't necessarily recommend to start them. You know what I mean? Bring them back because you'll have them available to you, but put them on the bench. That's what I did that a few times. And then the next week they'll play versus being injured for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I never bring players back. I always say no and start the backup. So I don't know, maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, that was my first time doing it, and I think I started getting too comfortable, and I started sending him across the middle, and he paid for it. So guess I'll see him next season. But guess we'll move on to number 3, man. This was one that I'm very high on, man. Game commentary should reference prior game stats, and when I say this, because I played MLB The Show, and I'll be in a series and they'll mention that this player is on a 6-game hitting streak, and I'm like, wow, what if Madden was able to do that? In the previous week, my halfback had 233 yards, so he's been on a tear this season. Currently it's like, they don't even mention the players in the CFM, which I believe if they started doing that, it would immerse us more into the game as opposed to being a lot more generic.
I like that. I like that as an option. Right now, I think the only thing you might get similar to that is, if you ever played a CPU game, it'll mention the last week, or it'll mention season rank. When you're playing a user, usually everybody just skips through all that, so you never really see it. But when you play a CPU game, it will give you a real basic, like last week, your tight end had, 8 catches, 94 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And this week, he's either doing, better than that or worse than that. Then they'll show it. But like I said, when you're playing the user, you're pressing X and skipping through all that, so you never really see it. So a real small piece of it is there, but yeah, more of that would be cool for sure.
Yeah, I actually think they did a good job on the commentary overall in Madden, this year's edition of Madden 17. They did a better job. I know in the head-to-head, they went week to week, and they went in the studio and redid some games and redid stuff to reflect throughout the year. I think that they should possibly look into getting the names of the players that we draft in the connected franchise, and I know that'll be a lot of work, but EA got a lot of money and we spend a lot of money, so let's get it. Let's make it happen. Like for instance, they if you got a player, O.C. McMichael or Buckner, I want that'd be great to hear their name. Called.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah.
And I guess another suggestion, man, that I had on this would be like, let's say the year Buckner won the MVP. Then we roll over into the next season, and the commentators are saying, if Buckner's having a good game, they're like, wow, this is the reason why he's the current MVP of the league.
Exactly.
Little stuff like that, or that would make the game so much better, man. It feels like you're really immersed at that point, instead of like now when we go to the off season and we advance to the new season, it's almost like the previous season didn't even happen. You know.
Right.
So I think if they can ever figure that out, I think it'll add another layer to the game.
Yeah, and I think some voice recognition comes into play there, but maybe eliminating the ability to edit a player's name, and maybe that'll give you more space or more ability to say a OC McMichael, But I think the whole editing names is cool, but that focus could have been put somewhere else,
I agree. All right, so I guess we'll move on to number 4, and I think this is very important, man. Team scheme should matter in the off season. This goes into the point where when you're signing free agents, free agents should want to go to a system to where they feel comfortable, as opposed to whoever just pays them the most money, they come to the team and that's it. You should take into account of all factors, man. This scheme fits me. Am I going to be a starter? Am I a backup? Do I like the head coach? Which some of the stuff they have in the game, or I think they tried to work into it, but at the end of the day, it came back to all about money. So what do you guys think?
I think that at one point that was in the game. Like if there was nobody, if let's say you didn't have a right guard and there was a right guard in free agency you was going after, I think it used to matter if it looked like he was going to be the starter compared to another team that already had starting potential right guard already on the roster. I think you would get more points weighted towards you for not having one than the team that already had one. But I believe that's no longer there. But for sure, bringing that back or revamping that or implementing that would definitely make more sense and keep people from just going after a right guard just to move them to center, or just signing them when they don't really need them, or you're in their division, so they're gonna go after them and get them because they don't want you to have them. It should be more impact on where he's going and what his role is going to be there, rather than just who has the most points or who has the most cap room to throw an offer at him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right now it's all about the money. I mean, basically at the end of the day, and it's about who can. This is what it's about. It's about who can sit there and wait till 12 o'clock when we know the advance gonna be, and put your last second bid in there to steal, to steal all the free agents that you want to get. You know what I mean? It's constantly trying to, hey, we need to do away with that. And I kind of like the idea that Dion said that he'll have we'll have an advance, but we won't know exactly when that advance will be.
Right. Yeah, I saw a couple other leagues have that, and that makes a lot more sense because in real free agency, when the clock ticks on that day when free agency begins, you have agents and GMs on the phone. You have people showing up to players' doorsteps to talk deals. And a player could potentially decide right at 12:01 if he felt like it, or a player could wait till midway point of free agency and fill out a few offers. So I think having that in there too, just like NCAA, where you can have a recruit immediately decide to come to your school. It shouldn't be who had the most points at advance. That's where the player goes. It should be, like Nasty Dupe said, it should be more dynamic as to, scheme, fit, need, and contract, not just contract.
Yeah, and they also have to do it with that point system, man, because it's like people see, he bid 90 points, I need to do 91. That is the craziest thing I ever heard in my life, man. That's bad negotiation, man, to let the other side know exactly what you're bidding, man, because then they come in and outbid you at the last second. Even though we are fixing that, I won't take credit for that idea. I got that from I believe the Old Folks League. I was listening to one of their podcasts and they were talking about it. I was like, wow, that's a good idea, because that takes that off the table. Like if you want a player, put your money on the table and you bid on him. And if you get him, you get him. If you don't, you don't. As opposed to waiting to that last 30 seconds trying to up the bid, which is kind of cheesy to me, but that.
Well, maybe they can do this, just like SJ was saying, in real free agency. Sometimes guys sign right away, and then sometimes guys wait a little bit. So maybe they can put that into the game where if somebody come with an offer and it blows them away, they sign right away, or or they wait. I mean, it should be random. It should be totally random when the advance happens, I think.
Yeah, very true. All right, so I guess we'll move on to number 5 here. Okay, and this was another one by SJ. He wanted more in-depth contract logic. So you want to go on that one?
Yeah, right now in our CFM, the Dynasty CFM, my guy, the Honey Badger, is 30 years old. He'll be 31 years old, in the off season. I want to resign him, just even though he may take a backup role, I still want to resign him just to have him on my team. However, he wants a 5-year, $55 million contract. I offered him a 1-year deal. He said, no way. 2 years, no way. 3, no way. He wants a 5-year deal, $55 million. And really, that's the only way I can keep him on my team. And to me, that's not realistic. Because if I offer you a 1-year, $20 million deal, and you want a 5-year, $50 million deal, a lot of players, if not all, would just take the 1-year, $20 million deal, bet on himself, so to speak, and then we'll talk an extension after that, or I could franchise tag him, I guess, but I just think having a bit more control over the contract you can offer. It shouldn't be, I want a 5-year, $50 million deal or nothing else. Like, some agents may negotiate like that, but most would bend a little. Instead of a 5-year 50, maybe a 2-year 30. I mean, to me, that's I'm giving you something. I'm giving you more, more guaranteed money, so to speak. I'm giving you a if the lengths were equivalent, you would be making out, because a 2-year deal at $30 million is better than a 6-year deal at $50 million. So I think having more control of the contract and what the player would accept, what would make logical sense to accept, not just necessarily the player wants this or nothing else, or franchise tag them. What if you have 2 players in that same boat? Then you have to choose which one you're going to franchise tag. Now that I'm okay with, but it just doesn't, like, why wouldn't the player take a 1-year, $20 million deal rather than a 5-year, $50 million? Even though he's still like a 99 overall, and maybe that has something to do with it, but
hey,
just having more control.
It's called the Darrell Reeves. You know what I mean? Hey, just go ahead and pull a Reeves and bet on yourself a couple times, and go ahead and fleece the Jets and the Patriots out of like $20 million a year. You know what I mean? This dude, he did it for like 4 or 5 years. So
he did,
and he kept doing it. You know what I mean? But hey, you got to give him credit. He bet on himself every year, and he got the money. So Tampa Bay, thank you to Patriots, and thank you to the Jets. I think that the contracts, the way they got it set up, I would like to be able to sign the guy that's not in his last year of his deal. That irks the hell out of me.
Yep, I was going to touch on that too. Being able to restructure a contract, you sign a player to a 5-year deal, and
right.
next draft, you draft a player in the 3rd round that's better than him. Now he's a backup with 4 years left on his deal.
Right.
I mean, you could cut him, you could trade him, but just, hey, you want to stay on this team? You're not even starting anymore. You got to take a pay cut. Then you can put some dynamic in there and let the player decide, or have some negotiation. Like, but kind of like Nasty Nuke was saying, just make it more immense as to what you can do. And to me, that attracts more buyers, that attracts more users, that attracts more players who, maybe NFL fans, but not necessarily hardcore gamers. But if they know that they can kind of mimic a real life football team on a video game, they might go purchase that Madden 18 edition because they hear they can do that, and they might not just want to, they want to play the business side of it, or they want to play the football management side of it, not just necessarily the play calling side of it. Yeah,
absolutely. And another thing is like I said, it be players that I have that I want to go ahead and get a long-term deal done now before they have a big year. Like for instance, I got Buckner. I would want to restructure, try to get a deal done before the last year of his contract come up.
Right.
How come I can't do that 2 years prior and make a deal?
And put some dynamic in there. Maybe he might not want to restructure. Maybe he want to bet on himself at the end of this deal. Put that dynamic in there. Now you better prepare to pony up and back that Brinks truck up to Buckner.
Make it more challenging, you saying?
Right.
That's all.
So you'll know, okay, he's not taking no shorts. He wants it all. He wants to be the top running back in the league. Put that in there. Buckner comes back to you and says, I want to be the top paid running back in the league. Now you got to prepare for that in 2 years when his deal is up. Or maybe have the opportunity to address that the next year.
Yeah, well, let me ask you guys a question. How do you feel about the ability to front load or back load contracts? Like, let's say you have a player that's coming off his rookie deal. Let's say he's 27. Now, if they don't change the regression system going into Madden 18, this guy's 27. Maybe you want to front load this contract because you pretty much want to get rid of him by the time he's like 20, 29, 30.
29. Yeah, 29 is a wrap.
Yeah. So
right. Exactly. That's exactly my deal with Tyrann Mathieu. He's 99 overall. He's 30 years old right now, 87 speed, 91 acceleration. So he'll drop 1 point from each, maybe 2 at 31. So 86 speed, 90 acceleration, that's not horrible. 85 speed, 89 acceleration, we're approaching horrible, but he's still serviceable. But I'll give him 1 year, 20 million, and then let him, figure it out after that. But a 5-year deal, that's silly. Why would I do that? Because at the end, midway through that deal, he's going to be 80 speed, 80 acceleration, and basically useless. And I, still got 30 million left on the contract. So yeah, you should have some control over that, rather than just having to decide to franchise tag it.
They got to fix this regression too. This regression is ridiculous. For a guy to regress as bad as some of these guys do at 28, 29, and 30, it's ridiculous.
QBs don't regress 28. A running back does regress at 30 usually. So I'm okay with the running back side of it, but not 28. QBs don't.
No, quarterbacks and linemen don't. Linemen playing to their mid-30s. Easy.
Right. QBs, linemen, mid-30s before they start going, back the other way. Running backs, 30 years old. Wide receivers, maybe 31, 32. Yeah.
But let me ask you a question, man. What about if they were able to institute, like, let's say wear and tear? Let's say like Buckner. Buckner is averaging 300 carries a season, and he's doing that for 3 or 4 seasons. He's only 27, 28. You got to figure that starts to wear him down at some point. Do you think that will be helping as far as the regression goes?
Yeah, put like a meter on the player, and just like in basketball, you only got so many jumps in those knees, before they give out. So yeah, just put a meter on the player, and if he's been starting since day one and he's a 10-year career, yeah, he's not going to have much juice left at the end of that, 10 years.
Yeah, as opposed to a guy that's been pretty much a journeyman or a backup, doesn't have that wear and tear on him. Maybe he lasts a little bit longer than 32 or 33, as opposed to regressing at 28 or 29.
But it's a QB regressing at 28 is not the way it should be.
So I guess I'll ask you guys, what do you think they could do? Like, what in the system? Because I guess this is all based off of, coding or whatever else. And it's like, when you hit this, and the coding says when you hit this number here, then you just do this. Is there any way to do that?
I think the coding is good. It should just be more specific to position.
Position.
Like,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be for QB. You know, maybe a QB and a lineman should regress at the same stage, and a running back and linebacker should, you know, maybe, but still, maybe a linebacker could be on the same as a QB. You know, they don't really start going backwards until 32. I mean, but look at Tom Brady. He just won a Super Bowl.
He's 40 or about 40, close to it.
Yeah, so I mean 38. So it should be position specific, not necessarily once you hit your 28th birthday, you slower now.
And the XP is so much harder to get at that stage. You can get player of the week, you can get player of the year, you can get whatever the fuck you want to get. You only gonna get like 2,000.
Yeah, Shane Ray just had a forced fumble, 2 sacks, and 2 interceptions in one game. He got 78 XP points. Like, come on. Like, what am I going to do? I can't even do nothing with it. Like, you might as well got 0.
Well, this is all.
But if he was a rookie. If he was a rookie linebacker, it'd be 3,000. You know, and Shane Ray needs that more than that rookie does at 29 years old. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it should be more balanced as to what's given and what's taken away.
All right, well, this is off topic, you know, from our list or whatever, but let's talk about the XP stuff for a minute. As I get more and more into this game, man, I'm kind of against the XP, man. I wish players would play up to their rating, as opposed to us just depending so much on XP, because players that come in the NFL, most of those guys, some of them, you know, develop into superstar players, or they were already destined to be superstar players coming out of college. But, you know, the lower tier guys are just not going to advance that dramatically, you know, with the XP that we get. Now, in this game, I'm going to ask you guys, how do you feel about the XP in the game right now? Is it good? Do you think we should move forward with this? Or should it be more based on, like, player traits as opposed to XP?
I don't mind XP. I like to get XP, but I think there's the need for XP is because players come in flawed. You know, you might like those 2 QBs that, you know, we're going to review. If they come in at 77 injury, it doesn't matter how good they are. It doesn't matter what the 40 time is, throw power. If his injury 77, he's going to be on the shelf quite a lot. So I think that's why XP is important, because players come in automatically flawed to the point where if you don't put something there, it doesn't matter what he can do. It doesn't matter what his traits is, because he's going to get injured as soon as he takes a hit. So I think that's why XP is important. And that's the only reason why I think it's important, because in the grand scheme of things, if it's set at 100 or 300, we are playing at the same level. So, you know, if I got a 99 running back and you got a 99 linebacker, or if I got a 77 running back and you got a 77 linebacker, it's still who got the better stick skills going to come down to it. So it doesn't really matter as much as some might think, but you know, if the guys come in flawed and you have to fix it to keep him on the field, or you have to fix it to stop him from making that error, then you kind of need it.
Yeah, I think that, like SJ just said, man, draft picks that you get from like second and third round and beyond, bunch of fucking bums. And their awareness, I swear their awareness be like 50. You know, what the fuck? I mean, what am I do with this dude? I mean, and I know awareness is easy to get, but I mean, just their traits be like just horrible, and you have to build it up. Like, you have to do something. Even though I still draft, you know, based off position, I draft off of what I know that position needs. I know this position needs speed, acceleration, and agility, and jumping. So fuck the awareness for now. Fuck the man coverage zone. I mean, you know what I'm saying? If I'm drafting a DB, I mean, I'll work on that later on. But it's just like SJ said, they come in like so flawed, like second, third round picks. It just, you know what I mean?
Like that one wide receiver that I had, what's his name? Ronald Woods. He was an undrafted free agent. 95 speed, 91 acceleration, something like that, 93 acceleration. But he had so much juice. I was like, man, I'm gonna just force him the ball just to get him some XP. And I did that, and I lost the division 2 years back to back because that's all I was really doing was focusing on getting him some XP. And he turned into, one of the better receivers in the league. But, I was basically forcing him the ball, not winning games. But I did get him to the level that I wanted him to get. But by the time he was 28, he was regressing anyway, so it was like pointless. So I think XP is needed to fix the flaws in players. I've had first round picks like that safety and linebacker. I took them both in the first round. Both had toughness in the 70s. So like I had to hope to get XP to fix that. I had to apply XP to him every week just to keep him on the field during the game. So
hey, that's
XP
another thing.
Matter, but it does on the same token.
And hey, that's another thing. Motherfuckers be chasing XP, getting their ass rocked, trying to get this XP.
Well, that's right.
As opposed to winning the game and shit like that. I mean, we know what certain people do. They spam a guy like McMichael, or certain people they going.
Heard that. I didn't say that. Hot tub. I didn't say that. I'm just letting hot tub. I didn't say that.
Oh shit! No, I forgot. We don't want to piss them off. I mean, fuck. I don't give a fuck about that right now. We're talking about Madden in this game right now. But certain people try to spam certain players trying to chase the XP, and sometimes you'll chase that XP to a loss. You know what I mean?
No, I'll admit I did that. I was like, man, the goal was to get 8 catches this week, and I got 7. I'm gonna try to get the 8th catch. I ain't really worried about, but it, like I said, it helped me develop him as a player, but I wasn't really focusing on what I needed to do to get the win. I was hoping getting him the ball was going to get me a win, not necessarily playing the way I need to play to get the win. So XP is important to develop players only because they come in flawed. If I got a bum and I'm going against your bum, then it really don't matter. But if I got to build him up to keep him healthy, and the only way to do that is get XP and put it on his toughness or put it on his injury, then you kind of need XP. So
I guess I'm gonna play devil's advocate and jump on the other side of this because I'm just not a believer in XP anymore, man. Because if I look at my defense, for instance, I have the #1 defense in the league at this point. My cornerbacks are all rated low 70s, low zone, low man coverage, but they ball out. So I wonder, and I haven't applied anything to them because I can't afford to move up their zone and I can't afford to move up their man. They just happen to goddamn ball out for some reason. So that's why I ask, is it more when the CPU generates them, certain players are just head and shoulders above other players, or is it about the XP? Because I look at, I always go back to this draft, man, because it's probably the worst draft ever for me. When I chose Blanton over OC McMichael. Probably the worst mistake I made in Madden 17 was that draft pick. Because I was debating between these two guys. I was debating between these two guys. And the thing that made me go with Blanton was his special catch was an A- or something. So I said, damn, this dude must gonna jump up and just catch everything with one-handed and shit. He hasn't done that shit yet. But I watched highlights of OC McMichael doing this shit all the time, and his shit was only like a B- or a B+ during the draft.
Right. So yeah, that's a good point. But it's also kind of goes into what I was saying too. Like some players come in messed up, and the only way to fix it is to get XP. But some players do come in ready to go. They don't even need XP. They ready to go. But some players, I got a 5th or 6th round safety. I swear, if you told me his overall was a 95, I believe you. But it's only an 82. But he plays like the best player on my team sometimes. So I can't call it. I don't know.
Yeah, because I live by that principle that Nancy Newt just said. My starting cornerbacks, I drafted dude Lewis. He had 17 interceptions last year. I drafted him in the 4th round. You wouldn't know that the motherfucker was a 72 because that dude, he was grabbing everything. Look, his catching was like a 66 or something. You wouldn't know it because every time the ball getting near him, he getting that. So I think certain players just ball, just like you said, and certain players don't.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking, man. EA pulling a goddamn Jedi mind trick on us, man, and with this whole fucking XP stuff, man. Because I still can't find anybody that can tell me exactly what awareness does. Because only thing I see awareness do is increase your overall, which I don't want to increase my overall because that means when his contract is up, he wants more money. So I'm gonna keep it low ball. I shouldn't get out of this free chicken, baby. This free chicken, my bad. I'm gonna have to edit that shit out.
Another thing, like, Tyrann Mathieu, 99 overall safety, 97 overall cornerback. He was getting 8 up at cornerback. I don't know if I was just calling the wrong defensive plays, but he was always trailing the play. He was always
getting rocked.
He was biting on double moves. I mean, you name it, he was doing it wrong. But at safety, he's locking that whole area down. A jump ball is really his only deficiency at safety. But at cornerback, he was like, I don't know what it was, but he was just, I had the 30th ranked pass defense. I put him back at safety. Now I'm back in the top 10. But his zone and his man coverage in the 90s, awareness in the 90s, 99 as a matter of fact, 97 overall. But the 68 overall cornerback was putting in more work than he was. Makes no sense.
Yeah, no.
I don't understand it. So, but at safety, is it more of a natural position thing? I don't know.
I think that kind of ties into one of the topics that we have on there as far as with the scouting. I know Nash Snoop said he had a choice between McMichael and the guy that he actually got.
Yeah.
The scouting system sucks ass. I mean, I'm trying to tell you. Like, you see, like, A+, look. Then when you pick the dude, he'd be a fucking bum. You'd be like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? So, like, they gotta fix this shit, for real. The combine means absolutely nothing, basically.
You should, you should have a little bit more know of what you're about to get, rather than just picking and praying. Because other than a few players where their numbers are off the charts, they got 2 A's and a B- and number 1 and 2 in every category at the combine, then you you about to get something good. But other than that, it's a crapshoot. So
yeah, and this is another place, man, where scouts, the scouts that you have, the head coach, if they ever bring in an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, to where, if you uncover, let's say we'll go back to OC McMichael, if he does not fit your scheme, he should not get an A when you uncover him. His grade should be much lower when you uncover him because he doesn't fit your scheme. Like right now, no matter what your scheme is, the way you set up, if you uncover OC McMichael, you're going to get an A, B, and C. We all see the same thing. So everybody is going after the same players. So
exactly. That's a great point.
So I think that helps out the CFM world, where now, damn, this player doesn't look good to me because he doesn't fit his scheme. But I have to be quiet over here because he fits my scheme, so his grade is much higher. So I think that helps us out, man. What do you guys thought there?
Absolutely, that is a great point. I think that they should have, like, if you have better scouts, or if it fits your scheme, or they just need more stuff, more tools to go to as far as to be able to scout, that the actual user has to decide whether this guy's good or not just see an A or a B. Like, for instance, maybe I can see their college stat line, or maybe I can see something, you know what I mean? Because normally in real life, how it works is the scout goes to the game, look at the motherfucker play, say, oh, that dude's a beast, and then he gonna go back to his team and say, hey, this dude's a monster, we need to get him. So and it might not be based off of a 40 time.
And to go even a little deeper, like, all the superstars shouldn't be front loaded in the first half of the draft. I think once that I know of where a superstar went undrafted. Tom Brady was a 7th round pick. Terrell Davis was an undrafted.
Second and third round picks are superstars all the time. Fourth round picks, man. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, even 6th and 7th round picks, but it shouldn't be all, and it shouldn't be all front loaded in the first half of the draft, and it shouldn't be based on the stories. It shouldn't be based on none of that. It should be all specific to your coach, your scout, what you need, and then it should be intricate based on that, not necessarily.
And if your coach can develop that position, you know what I mean, right?
Right.
Yeah. Is your head coach a defensive-minded head coach? Is he an offensive-minded head coach? All that stuff should play into it because, once again, it gives us more immersion into the game of us really having to make, real-life decisions as opposed to all of us seeing the same grades and everybody going for the same 1 or 2 players.
Yeah, because the 15 or so good players, it's still 300 players that's flawed, And,
so you saying it's 15 good players and it's like what 287 bums?
Hey, but I will say this: my defensive tackle Daniels, man, he was graded a 5th rounder, and now I uncovered him. I saw a couple things that I was like, wow, this dude is strong. He has good block shedding, and he's projected to go 5th round. I pulled him in the 2nd round, and you talking about somebody that was happy when I uncovered him, and he was a superstar.
But right, it should be more of that. It should be more of that, not necessarily. By the 2nd round of a draft, everybody is all reds. You know what I mean? There's no green lights. It should be a more balanced draft. Like your 5th round pick should matter almost as much as your 3rd round pick. It shouldn't be a big difference. You know what I mean?
Very true. All right, so we skipped number 6, so we'll go back to number 6 and we'll talk about commissioner edit features and the admin rights. I guess this comes back to the commissioner side. When another commissioner edits a player, it should come up in the log so that everybody can see exactly.
So everybody can see it.
Yeah. So there's never an issue with that again.
Right now, I got 10 players. I want to change their sneakers so bad. You know what I mean? They got some stupid cleats on. But I don't want to go through the hassle of making the video, posting it, making sure somebody watching it, that I'm only changing their sneaker. So I just say, fuck it, I ain't changing it, and they look stupid. But I should be able to change it if I want to and not have to worry about if somebody think I'm cheating or not. It should show edited footwear, edited face mask, edited.
Exactly. I like that.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to put that in, man, because I think they got a lot of complaints, man, from...
Take it out. Like, I can't even...
Yeah.
I feel like a jerk posting a video that me changing the cleats, but I want to change the cleats, but I can't. I don't. It's just headache, And it doesn't
what you added in, just like you just said. Like if for instance, it just says edited player. You know what I mean? It don't tell you, okay, I changed this fucking face mask to, gave him a visor and did this and that and the third. You know what I'm saying? It just say, or I might have switched his position. It just say edited player. I mean, they need to tell you specifically what did you edit.
True. And then I guess on the admin right side of it, it's more, logistics as far as if a player breaks the rules within the league, the commissioner should have the option to sit a player from that team or to remove picks from that player, as opposed to having to, go through a debate back and forth and all the other stuff, because it's just, a wasted time that you put on other stuff or whatever. But,
right, you should have full control over that more,
Yeah. And I know, like, I was listening to probably another podcast, and they were saying, like, maybe the commissioner has complete control over the entire league as far as the look of the league. Like, let's say back in 16, we had the kicking arch. Now, if you remember here, when we came to the high stakes season, everybody had to turn the kicking arch off. At that point, you were on your own. There was no arch, so
Got him.
Yeah, so that was an adjustment for everybody when that came up. So, but we had to, we had everyone stream, so we had to make sure during the streams that they had it off when they kicked field goals. But if the commissioner had the right to turn it off league wide, it wouldn't even be an issue. Wouldn't even be an issue at that point. or I think they call ball hawk. Some people don't even allow ball hawk in their leagues, but then you have to you're taking everybody's word that it's off at that point, as far as like being able to just shut it off at the league level, which would help if that's something that I guess guys were into. But I guess, man, we can go on to number 8. This is very dear and near to my heart, man. Bringing back a true situational practice mode. Now, we had this in Madden 25. This is where, but they equated it with XP. So let's say you wanted to practice, you were down by 3, or you wanted to get a full game scrimmage in, you can, do it or whatever. That's what I want to come back, as opposed to you just running the play over and over, not moving up and down the field, not getting any situational. Back in 25, if somebody got hurt, I would go out and bring in a free agent, test him out in the practice mode to see if he did what I needed him to do. If he didn't, I cut him, I kept it moving. But you can't do that now, man. It's just like this. It's just repetitive over and over, and it gets boring to where you don't want to do it.
Even if you don't necessarily maybe like just have a situational. I think we touched on this before, like a 2-minute drill, or maybe play a quarter versus the defense. It doesn't have to be a game, within the practice, but just play a quarter. Situational, have the defense blitz you, and then you just working on your blitz, your reads off of blitz, something like that.
Yeah, because in the real NFL, they practice 2-minute drill every week. You have to. You got to be prepared for that.
And move the ball down the field, because a play that's going to work at the 50 is not going to work on the goal line. So you should be able to move the ball, not just keep hiking it from the same spot.
Yeah. Well, I guess let me ask you guys a question, man, because I was on Shopmaster Show and this came up, and the guy was, Sonny from the NBL was saying that maybe we have injuries in practice. It's like 3 different layers to practice, to where you can just do a walkthrough in shorts. You can do I forget what the other 2 levels is, but you would have injuries involved in each level. If
fuck no.
I mean, it's cool. The cool idea. It's a cool idea, but I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it is a game. And if my star player got injured in practice, I cut that shit right off and do something else. I'm not about to mess around. Oh man, Dave Johnson tore the ACL in practice. I'm cutting that shit off, and I'm like,
fuck no. Hey, now we doing a little too much, and we know it happens in real life in practice. But come on, shawty. I mean, if a motherfucker got injured in practice, that shit would be brutal. You know what I mean? I'm not for that at all. I think as far as the situational, let me be able to do a 2-minute drill. I like that idea what SJ said. Let me practice against this blitzing scheme. Like right now I can just hit random cover 2 or random
yeah.
And I do move the ball up and down the field. I do play on the goal line and run goal line plays. I do it, but I feel like I shouldn't have to generate my own situations.
Or you should be rewarded for the time you spent in practice. If I spent an hour practicing and the user I'm playing didn't practice at all, I should get a benefit of that. Maybe more XP, because I'm spending time practicing with my team compared to somebody who wasn't. Maybe add that. But injuries during practice, no way. Like, I'm not. Yeah, that's too much.
Yeah, and I just started thinking about that, man. Like, if you're playing an opponent, and you know how like currently they tell you, what defense they run the most or whatever. But then if you're able to take that into practice mode and you have your defense run that scheme, but you're able to move up and down the field, man, I think that would be very interesting.
But that's flawed too, because I know a couple teams. I won't say any names, but they'll call a run play, but they'll audible to a pass play. So what comes up on the scheme is the play that they pick. So it says they run a lot, but they really don't, because they audibling out of the run play into a pass play, and that part of it doesn't pick it up. So that can fool you pretty bad, actually, if you trust that. So I think making that more realistic too. I do like that, but it's not true at all, actually.
Remember back in I can't remember which Madden it was, but they used to have scout an opponent.
Yeah.
Feature. I think that that's kind of what they did with that, but I think that they need to. We should be able to scout. The scouting has to get a little bit better too, as far as scouting opponents.
It's pulling the data from the play you select, not the play you run. If it pulled it from the play you run, I think it would be better. But it's not the play you snap the ball. It's the play you pick when you in the play, select the play screen. It's not the play you audible out to. So, it'll say you running the ball 70% of the time, but you're really not.
All right, fellas, this was the grind. This is part 1 of our series. Part 2, we'll be focusing on more of in-game play features that we want adjusted or fixed going into Madden 18. So I hope you guys tune in for that. I know a hot topic that was brought up today was the nano detection system, which we'll talk about in episode 2. So be sure to tune in for that. I'm your host, Nasty Noob. I have SJ and I have HB30 with me. You guys want to sign out?
We out.
The Dynasty Madden League Network, the worldwide leader in CFM.